next to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Frost. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, Madam Secretary. It's great to meet you. The Inflation Reduction Act included $8.8 billion in rebates designed to make Americans' homes more energy efficient. For Floridians, this could mean a new air conditioner, a home solar installation, or even better insulated windows. By this summer, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed funds to implement those rebate programs in our state, depriving Floridians of over $340 million in federal funding and ensuring that none of those savings will be heading to my home state or my district. I'll also say I heard one of my colleagues from Florida mention that the infrastructure isn't there in Florida for EVs yet, or he said that the infrastructure isn't there and that the technology isn't there. The technology is there. The infrastructure isn't there in part because our governor refuses to accept funds already appropriated and that are supposed to be meant for our state. And so I put a lot of blame on the Ron DeSantis administration for Florida falling back in terms of technology. Our office has heard from many of my constituents, including seniors on fixed incomes and small business owners, who are angry and stunned with the state's decision to deprive them of these programs. Many members of the Florida delegation, including myself, sent a letter to your office regarding this. And I wanted to ask, Madam Secretary, will the Department of Education create a federally managed program to allow local governments and municipalities in places like the state of Florida to access these rebates budgeted already in the IRA?
Yeah, thanks for this question. It is, I can't imagine why a state would reject funds that would help their citizens to be able to lower their costs. But the law says that the money must go to states, and that if a state has until August of 2024 to be able to access that funding. As it's currently regulated, if a state does not, that money gets reallocated to other states. So I would be eager to see and to sit with you, and our team would figure out if there's another solution. But at this point, states must apply.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, it's great to hear that your team and our team and the members that signed this letter can get together and figure out how we can ensure that this money already budgeted for the state of Florida can be used by Floridians. And I can't imagine why the governor decided to reject it too. Maybe it's too woke, I'm not sure. JBT Aerotech has been in Orlando for over 40 years and is now manufacturing electric cargo loading, pushback, and jetway vehicles for airports across the entire world, but also specifically in the United States. It's a company that's in my district. Something they mentioned is ever since the IRA came out, they've seen exponential growth in the amount of electric jet bridges, cargo pushing vehicles, pushback vehicles that are being ordered by their clients. I asked how we can up it even more. They said one of the largest problems they've seen with airports is that they don't have the charging infrastructure set up to take advantage of getting the vehicles. And so they said if that infrastructure gap can be met, then they would see it even more. So I wanted to see, is this type of issue something that the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation was created to address?
Well, I will say it was created to address the charging, electric vehicle charging gaps along public transportation corridors and in areas, cities, et cetera, where it doesn't exist right now. However, I do think that if this piece of infrastructure gap for airports, for example, exists, then I think I would put it back to Congress to say that there might be a way to plus up this. I mean, the ideal is that we want to create charging everywhere, including a grid that can handle the charging everywhere. And the charging infrastructure right now is designed to go for individual drivers and to replace the charging infrastructure that's not working. That's what the 3 tranches are for at the moment.
What are some other ways that DOE is working with other agencies to meet the administration's vital goal of net zero emissions by 2050?
Oh, we're working all across the government. It is a whole of government approach. We have a cabinet that is focused on this, that includes a subcabinet, which includes the Department of Energy, Department of Agriculture, the EPA, Treasury, I mean, all of the agencies that have a chunk of this very important commerce, of this very important part of our, of our ecosystem. Whether it's making sure that we're doing right on the regulatory side, which is EPA, or doing right on the build-out of clean, which is ours, or doing right for the agricultural community, taking advantage, all of the pieces of government are working in this direction to get to net zero by 2050 and 100% clean electricity on our grid by 2035.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for your years of service. I yield back.